r/askreddit. What used to be normal in the past, but fricked up now? Thanks for tuning up, lads and ladies. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Giving kids cocaine for a cold. Buzz, I feel better, mom. Zip zipsing. Babies weren't allowed to have anesthesia because people, though they couldn't feel pain, never understood this. Babies make it really freaking clear that they are feeling pain. Literally no attempt to hide their discomfort. Did they think it was a coincidence that they screamed at the top of their lungs when the doctor began using a scalpel? Well, he's crying when I'm not cutting him, and he's crying when I'm cutting. Guess he's legally a plant. Having kids with your family to keep your bloodline pure. The McPoyle bloodline, clean and pure as snow for over 1,000 years. Using radioactive isotopes and paints for glow-in-the-dark things. Also asbestos. They also used to have X-ray machines in shoe stores, so mothers could see how well a pair of shoes fit their kids' feet. And it was a constant X-ray stream, like X-ray video, not a still picture. My dad remembers that. He thought it was so fun. Makes him shudder now. He's made it to 83 in good health. Fortunately, the guys who worked there probably didn't make it to 83. Visiting friends and family at their house unexpectedly. 1990s. Oh hey, good to see you, Bill. Come on in. Today. Why the frick did Bill just stop by without any notice? At least text me beforehand. I miss this a lot, honestly. Being a kid and having one of my friends knock on my door to ask if I want to hang out was always such a pleasant surprise. Smoking wherever you liked. As a child, I remember my mum and dad smoking on the plane when we went on holidays. That seems crazy to me now. People smoked almost everywhere. Hospitals, restaurants, offices, grocery stores. You could not get away from the smoke and smell indoors unless no one in your family smoked. And maybe in churches. I do not remember anyone smoking in church. Watching executions for fun. Shit, dude. My boss made me work overtime again. Now I'm gonna miss another execution. Telemarketer to call. Sorry, I can't fix my Windows software until 6. I'm taking the kids on a trip to the execution later today. Renting VHS videos and getting charged $3 every day that year late from Blockbuster Video. The charge would show up 5 years later when you apply for a new card if you moved, lol. Or the $2 rewind fee. At the time it seemed like such an inconvenience. You could buy a rather cheap machine that would rewind the video for you super fast. Posing for pictures with your recently deceased relatives. It was common for families to have lots of children, and also common for them to die before their 5th birthday. In this picture, the youngest child has died and is propped against a stand for the picture. You know what happens if you don't eat your vegetables, Timmy. Why don't you ask your little sister? But she. Exactly. Drinking and driving. This is a good one. I remember my dad telling me how he got pulled over after driving to Jersey, where you could buy booze at 18, and coming back. The cop told him to pour the bottle right out on the street and drive straight home. Today our attitudes have changed. Same. My family has told me stories of growing up in a small town and the cops would drive behind them to make sure they made it home okay. Airline passengers used to dress up for routine flights because travel by air was considered fashionable. If you watch old TV and movies, people used to get semi-dressed up just to eat dinner at home. A lot of disease treatment and general healthcare was brutal. Mercury, lead, cocaine, and methamphetamine all used to be common medications. Removing whole limbs just because we didn't have the means to deal with infections. Answering the phone when you don't know who is calling. I picked up the other day. It was the eyes. Luckily they called me just in time as they were entering the federal courthouse as I was about to be indicted. To my good fortune, I was able to pay them off. Disaster averted. In iTunes gift cards, I assume. Marrying a young girl when you are king or head of a church. Henry VIII was 49 when he married his 5th wife, who was 16 or 17. Being a fan of Bill Cosby. Ouch. I still have to rustle my brother, whom I slept with on my iPhone. I'm sorry, I know he was a rapist, but I will still laugh at Dad is great. He gave us chocolate cake Freaking 13-year-olds as a 40 years old. My great grandfather was 21 when he married my 14-year-old great grandmother 1933 in Texas. My dad was 21 when he and my mom, 15, had my older brother. I look at 15-year-olds and think WTF dad. Using Internet Explorer as your default browser, i.e. exists solely to download a new browser. People in the olden days be like, hey, let's just fry this man inside a metal bull in front of children LMAO. This was one of the more shocking realizations I had from reading Better Angels. In all of human history, it's only a very recent thing that watching a stranger die in horrifying ways is considered anything but great entertainment. Letting young kids stay outside playing for hours until the street lights come on without knowing where they are. It's not really f'd up, but it's definition not normal now. I moved to Alaska around 3rd grade. During one of the first weeks up here I went to go join up with the other military kids because they know friendship is passing and don't care if you're new. Well, my parents told me to come home when the sun went down. Next morning I came home to confused parents who thought I simply skipped dinner and went to bed, and I was equally confused as to why there was breakfast made and not dinner. Marital rape. It used to be that the woman's vagina must be available whenever the husband pleases. Hey now, that's been illegal in Ireland for almost 17 whole years now, and in North Carolina for, like, maybe 5 or 6 years, and in Minnesota it's only been illegal for a month. Reusing the names of newborns who died young. My grandmother was one of 22 children. Birth control, kids, but only 16 survived to be adults. All 6 children who died young were middle children, and all of their names were reused on subsequent children. In fact, in theory I have 3 great Uncle Jims, because the first 2 passed away. The great Uncle Jim who lived was awesome, though, and my great grandmother joked that she was glad he was the Jim who stuck around. Teachers allowed to beat their students. I remember my mom telling me she got spanked and beaten with sticks from her teachers. It was a common thing I guess in the 50s and 60s. Sati practice in India. Widows were burnt in the same funeral pyre as their dead husbands. Waiting 5 minutes for a page to load on the internet. Lead being used in everything here in the United States. Military bases and older buildings still have a lot of lead paint. Growing up my parents constantly told me not to eat or lick the paint when we lived in government quarters. I probably did just out of spite. Having naked pictures of your kids. Hear me out. In some of my great grandma's old photo albums she has plenty of pictures of my grandpa as a kid less than 5 years old walking around the family farm naked, most of these pics full frontal. Completely normal back then, no one bats an eyelash and thinks it's cute. You do that now and that's child pornography. Porn. We've gone from blonde babe gets buck-ached to 80% stepdaughter/sister/mother. And it sucks, because that's what all the hot ones do. Can anyone explain why it's so fricked up now? Lobotomy. It was once used to cure depression and schizophrenia. It is a surgical treatment that involves cutting brain connections in order to improve the patient's mental health. It obviously caused impairments, and it actually won a Nobel Prize. The N-word. Now, it's all people next door and fellow residents of this area. They're all still a bunch of neighbors to me. Beating child to obedience. My mom and dad's generation. My dad used to tell me stories of how teacher can slap their palms with rulers for getting wrong answers and parents will beat their child for disobedience. Showing little kids butts in ads and stuff. Like the old Coppertone ad showing a dog pulling down the girl's bikini bottom and exposing her butt. I have this decorative plate that hangs on the wall that my grandparents bought to commemorate my dad's birth in 1940. It has his name and birthday and weight, and a little ceramic baby sleeping on his tummy. And for no reason, the back flap on his jammies is down, showing his naked bottom, like babies sleep without diapers. When my husband saw it for the first time, he was like, "Too bad it's so creepy." When I was in grade school, 1995 to 97, we played a game called Spear the Queer. Basically it was like tag plus tackle football. One queer and a group of guys would chase you and try and tackle you down. If you didn't get tackled by someone trying, he would be the queer. Now even just saying spear the queer would probably get you suspended from school, and you would have to apologize to everyone in the county, pay a fine, and just never show your face in public again. Thanks for sticking till the end, lads and ladies. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.